Hey guys, it's Rush. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. The whiteboard has made a return. You know what that means. I'll be talking about a topic of interest. That topic itself, to summarize it, it is what I appreciate in Street Fighter 6 after playing Street Fighter 5. But to give you more context, to give you the backstory. So I started playing 6 again, I think it was around October, November, maybe November, December time. Started playing it a little bit. And in December, Saltmine League announced a Street Fighter 5 tournament. And because people were playing 5, it gave me an excuse to go back to 5. So I played in the tournament, I streamed it. If you want to see that, then link in the video description to this particular video that's going to pop up on the screen. Played it, I was rusty, and then I played some more and I got back into Street Fighter 5. But there's some things I noticed about the game where I was like, these things don't feel great going back to 5 from 6, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. Okay, so improved in 6. I apologize for lack of finger spacing. If my kids saw this, they'd go mad. Dad, why have we not done finger spacing? That's bad English. But yeah, improved in 6. Let's go into some topics of what I noticed when I went back to Street Fighter 5. So the first thing I want to point out, and this will be no surprise to anyone, it's not a gameplay thing, it's just a game thing, is netcode. So netcode in 6 is one of the best netcodes I've ever experienced in a fighting game. For me, it's never laggy if I go for a 4-bar, 5-bar. If they're on Wi-Fi, generally it's okay. The connection has to deteriorate a lot before you actually feel the lag in matches. You can play players from further out. So I'm UK based. I can play people in Eastern Europe, for example, and I don't have any problems. Going back to Street Fighter 5, the first thing that stood out to me was the netcode. Every match was jittery. It was definitely worse this time than it was before, unfortunately. But it was pretty jittery. I had one person come into my stream and say to me, "You're in the bathtub and you're on Wi-Fi." I wasn't on Wi-Fi, but I was in the bathtub. I had a long Ethernet cable that reached into the bathroom. So yeah, that is factual. No lies were told. But yes, it was very bad against that particular individual. Yeah, it was laggy for me. Most matches I played, unfortunately, that stream were super laggy. Hasn't been so bad since when I was playing it after the stream. But that's just Street Fighter 5. If you were far away, like if I played someone in like West Germany, it was jittery. If you're on certain ISPs, you could barely play the game properly. It was laggy all the time, and playing against you was awful. Cough, Virgin Media users. Certain countries couldn't play the game at all without lag. People who follow me in India have told me that the players were spread out quite a lot. The infrastructure there may not be as great, but you had to search to get matches more regularly by doing like 2 to 5-bar or 3 to 5-bar. That meant the quality of matches you played were awful, so you didn't even get to play the game properly, which is really bad. It's unfortunate people's experience of 5 was so bad in terms of netcode and online play. So netcode in 6 is just, it's miles apart from where it was in 5, and that is a big reason why people like 6 over 5, I feel, because they can actually play the game and experience it with no lag. Topic number 2 is whiff punishment in Street Fighter 5 compared to 6. So, but whiff punish, I feel like I can't spell properly when I write on the whiteboard like this. I think it's because it's not my natural writing position. I have to overthink it. Anyway. With punish, I put fast in brackets. The reason for that is because when you go back to 5 does play faster. It's for 2 reasons. Dashing is faster in 5. That stands out straight away by a few frames. And normals in general have less recovery. So light, mediums, and heavy have less recovery. I'd say you're not really whiff punishing a light in Street Fighter 5. It's very rare to see somebody whiff punish a light button. Mediums would get whiff punish, but there's a lot of mediums in Street Fighter 5 that you wouldn't whiff punish very easily or would go unwhiff punished entirely, and that's because, this is the common theme with this topic, is the recovery. The recovery on mediums, or all the buttons, but particularly mediums, barely existed, which meant to whiff punish mediums was very challenging to do. Give an example, so reuse crouching medium kick. That button bodied me in Street Fighter 5, and the only way I could whiff punish that button was by using Ken Stand light kick, which had a very, very small buffer window on it. So I'd have to like stand at a certain range, kind of gauge the timing. Once I hit it, commit to crouch to stand light kick, and then if I see them whiff, just quickly do the cancel into like Tatsu or DP or something. Really hard to do, but it's because it has no recovery. It's so hard. I have to use a very fast button to catch it that's got range. Another example, I'm going after Ryu mains. Let's go after Ken mains. Ken in Street Fighter 5 had stand medium punch. The button in terms of frame data and the range and everything does not exist in Street Fighter 6. That was a 7-frame startup move. Ken leaned forward like this. His hurt box is back here. His hitbox is here. It used to like reach over some buttons, some crouching buttons. It was very hard to hit confirm, but if you saw them whiff, you just cancel that into, you know, corner carry, damage, blah, blah, blah. Ridiculous move. I'd say that move was almost impossible to whiff punish. I could probably count on not my 2 hands how many times I ever saw that button whiff punished in neutral in my entire 7 years of Street Fighter 5. Crazy. But the key problem there is the lack of recovery. Same for heavies. Heavies were much easier to whiff punish if you were good at Street Fighter 5, but they still didn't have that much recovery. Now you go to Street Fighter 6. In Street Fighter 6, everything. Sorry, I thought I saw a spider on the ceiling. I got scared. Street Fighter 6, everything has more recovery, including your mediums, and that to me feels better. It's a better design choice. Everything has punish counter state, which we'll talk about later in this video. But if you're with a medium, if you keep mashing, crouching, medium kick, and neutral, eventually the not pro players, but like the serious but like casual players can whiff punish it with ease because they'll understand the spacing, they'll see the whiff, they'll react to it, and they'll catch the punishment frames, the recovery. So the third topic is punish counter. So punish counter is a new state they added in Street Fighter 6. Punish counter, and it derives from crush counters in Street Fighter 5. To explain the difference, and it's a bit complicated, more complicated than you think. Punish counter is something that happens during the recovery of anything in Street Fighter 6. That's literally how it works. If anything is in recovery, it can be a DP on block, it can be a whiff move, it can be a jumping attack that doesn't connect, it can be a whiff throw, it can be whiff parry, whiff drive impact, anything that whiffs or is blocked during the recovery frames. If you press anything, you get a punish counter. Specifically in Street Fighter 6 though, there's certain attacks, Ken stand heavy kick for example, if you use a certain attack during a punish counter scenario, you don't get the attack hitting normally, you'll send them spiraling through the air, or you'll get like a different conversion. That's where it's shared with crush counters. So Ken stand heavy kick in Street Fighter 5, if you get a crush counter with stand heavy kick, they will freeze, the screen will freeze, you get a spark sound effect, and they go flying through the air, enabling you to get, you build V-bar, you get a good amount of damage if the conversion is optimized, and you generally get good corner carry as well. So they're really good. Crush counters are really good in that scenario. But also, crush counters occurred somewhere else, specifically in Street Fighter 5, and that was where if you blocked a DP, so an invincible reversal, it can be a light punch DP or an EX DP, not super, you'd also be granted a counter it state there, which enabled you to get crush counters. Crush counters basically occurred in Street Fighter 5 in counter hit scenarios. So again, like I said, blocking DPs, specifically DPs. But as I said, crush counters occur in counter hit scenarios. Counter hit scenarios occur when you beat your opponent in like say neutral or whatever. When they press something, your button beats them before their button comes out. You're granted a counter it. So you're not actively whiff punishing or trying to punish what they're doing. You're just beating them to the punch, no pun intended. You're beating them to their action and hitting them before the action comes out. So imagine you've got multiple buttons in neutral. For Ken, you had stand heavy punch, crouch heavy punch, stand heavy kick. He had sweep. All sweeps would crush counter in Street Fighter 5. All these buttons, if I throw them out in neutral before the opponent presses their action or their button, I would get a free crush counter. I'm not actively trying to beat them at anything. I'm just trying to throw something out. Let's use Ken stand heavy punch as an example. Let me just keep swinging stand heavy punch as I give you this example right now. So I'm swinging stand heavy punch in neutral as Ken. And as I mentioned, heavies are whiff punishable in Street Fighter 5. Not as much as in 6, but they are whiff punishable. But I'm just going to recklessly throw this out anyway at the risk of being whiff punished, because if I hit them during the startup of an attack, I will get, a counter hit. And because it's a stand heavy punch, which has crush counter properties, I'm going to get, the big smash, the big sound effect, the freeze, leading into building V-bar, getting good damage, and generally getting good corner carry. That's why crush counters were trash in Street Fighter 5, because you're not really working for the situation. You're kind of just swinging and hoping. You're getting all this reward off it, and the opponent maybe did something not very risky. I mentioned how jabs in Street Fighter 5 were very hard to whiff punish. I'm not whiff punishing. I'm just throwing something out, and maybe you press jab at the wrong time. It's just the wrong timing, and you get this big punish for that scenario. That's what made it a little silly. That's completely gone in Street Fighter 6. You don't have this scenario. If you get hit by anything, including saying heavy kick, and I get a counter hit, it just hits normally. I just get the attack. You'll see the counter hit notification. I'll have some additional plus frames, same way counter hits work in Street Fighter 5. But I've got to recognize the counter hit to get the better follow-ups in time. You don't get the big sparks. You don't get the big sound effect. You don't get the freeze. You don't get the time to confirm it. It's just normal. You only get that scenario in Street Fighter 6 with punish counter with specific buttons. Stand heavy punch with Ken in Street Fighter 6 does not give you the big sound effects and the fireworks flying out and the freeze. It just hits normally. You get a punish counter notification, but again, you have to spot that quickly to then get the better conversions, because punish counter grants you 4 frames advantage. Counter it is always 2, Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6, but punish counter gives you 4 frames advantage. You don't really get any assistance to convert the punish counter into anything unless it's a specific button. And with Ken, for example, it is the stand heavy kick. So you get the nice animation, you get the freeze with stand heavy kick punish counter, but that is it, nothing else. So I think them reducing the amount of those specific different knockdowns is good in Street Fighter 6. I think removing crush counters altogether and implementing the punish counter state across the board was a really good idea. Right, guys, this one breaks my heart because I've lost something in Street Fighter 6, but I can see why Capcom have done it. So, crouching medium kick is what I'm talking about. I'm going to put drive rush here as well, because that is significant in this scenario. Drive rush. So, in Street Fighter 5, crouching medium kick, 17 frame confirm with Ken was a staple part of my gameplay, and it was extremely satisfying. It was dopamine inducing. It was cool to see. But the problem with it is that not every character had a crouching medium kick confirm in Street Fighter 5. And a lot of the player base either didn't know you could do it, never learned to do it, or found it too hard. It was not an accessible thing to do for everyone. If you're on PS4 rather than PC, it was even harder to do on PS4. It's doable, but it was harder to do on PS4. It's just facts. What they're doing in Street Fighter 6 is they've removed all confirmable crouch and medium kick confirms. Boo, not good. Makes me very upset. It's the first thing I tried to do when I booted up the game. I was like, okay, that's not a thing we can do in this game. That sucks. What they have done is the meta is do crouch and medium kick into drive rush. Everyone's doing it. If you see a whiff punish and you do that, then that's great. That you're doing it in a very skilled way. You may just do it regardless, on block, on hit, just whatever. Just go for it. Spend the meter. It's a good way to get in. It's a good way to get pressure. Everyone does it, as I said. But the reason they've done this, as much as I hate it, I can see the logic. Is because, as I said, in 5, crouch and medium kick confirm, crouch and medium kick pressure was not accessible to everybody. Whereas now, lower level players that don't have the knowledge or the awareness or the skill yet can use crouch and medium kick and get something off it. You can commit to the drive rush. If it hits, you get a combo. If it doesn't hit, you get pressure. You're still utilizing the crouch and medium kick. More skilled players, as I said, will look for the whiff punish into drive rush to get the guaranteed damage. But you can't confirm it. They're limited because they can't confirm it. Can they whiff punish? Yep, they could whiff punish that into run DP if you're playing Ken, if you're really skilled. But it's made it more accessible. Crouch and medium kick now is accessible by the whole player base. And like I said, I don't like it because I love crouch medium kick confirms, but I understand the logic. So I don't. It's a double-edged sword. It is improved in 6 because it's more accessible, but it doesn't make me happy. But it's not about me. This video is not about me. It's just about the facts. So number 4, crouch and medium kick being more accessible in Street Fighter 6. Next one is backdashing in Street Fighter 6. It is improved over Street Fighter 5 purely because we use backdashing generally to, well, it's great movement, but in pressure strings you use backdashing to avoid throws. So let's use the example of I jab. I do drive rush jab, and then I want to throw them. If the opponent blocks the drive rush jab, which is plus, and then they anticipate a throw, they backdash, my throw will not connect with the backdash. They're throw invincible during a backdash, and they remain grounded through the whole process. If I do a jab, a drive rush jab, they backdash and I do a jab. When they're backdashing, my jab, second jab, will hit them. They'll stay grounded, which is perfectly normal. And then I'll get a counter it. So I can go for either like a normal string, like a jab, drive rush jab, they backdash. I can do just jab, stand light kick. It'll all hit because it's counter hit. And I'll do a DP. Everyone's happy. In Street Fighter 5, it didn't work that way. It did not work that way. In Street Fighter 5, bad plus frames. Let's use crouching. Let's use crouch jab. So crouch jab is +2 on blockers Ken, I think it was. And then I'm going to go for a throw. So I go for a throw, they backdash. They backdash, they escape the throw. Exactly the same as Street Fighter 6, no different. You know, the backdash escapes the throw. But if I do crouch jab on block +2 on Street Fighter 5 into crouch medium kick, 4-frame gap, and they backdash during that scenario, that string, what will happen is when the crouch and medium kick connects with them during the backdash, it does hit them. It is counter hit, but they will flip in the air backwards. It's like they're jumping, and that's because in Street Fighter 5, when you backdash, you are airborne. That's how they programmed Street Fighter 5 to avoid throws. So think about it. Obviously, if you jump and I try and throw you with a grounding throw, it's not going to connect. That's how they programmed backdash to be throw invincible in Street Fighter 5. They made the backdash state an airborne state. So the game's like, oh, you're airborne, you can't be thrown. But when you did a normal, when they're backdashing, you did a normal, it would count as if they're in the air. So my crouching mini kick would hit, it would counter hit, they'd flip backwards. And me, like a moron, I'm like, yo, I've just got to counter it, crouching mini kick here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cancel that into DP. I do my DP, but because they're airborne and they're flipping back because they've been reset in the air, they've been hit in the air, my DP will whiff, not connect with them, and then I'll fall down and get crush countered. I'll get punished for my efforts. That was so dumb. It was so dumb. And in Street Fighter 5, we used that technique to cause these scramble situations. So I may backdash during a string to get the air reset. I could see what they were doing as I'm resetting the air because I'm airborne. I'm not airborne, but I am because I'm avoiding the throw. I'm airborne. They've pressed something and normal. I flip in the air. If they've done something that's got a lot of recovery during that time, let's say they do fireball, the fireball goes behind me because I'm in the air flipping. As I land, I can literally just punish them. I can just do like a chin buster. I could do like a medium heavy punch into punish to free punish because they're in recovery. Or I may back throw them or something like that. Good players would spot the flip and they would just be like, I'm not pressing nothing now and I'll wait. And as the opponent lands, there's then a mix up. It's like, okay, do I meaty them as they land? Will they do a DP after the flip? There was a mind game behind that. But that was a strategy we used in Street Fighter 5. But I don't think it should ever have been there. I feel like they should have programmed it like 6 to be like, yes, backdash is invulnerable to throws, but you're still on the ground. Number 6, it's quite a short and sweet one, is throw recovery. Throw recovery. In 6, throw recovery is increased. So Street Fighter 5, when going back to 5 from 6, if I was shimming somebody and they whiffed a throw, I have to be so fast to recognize a whiff, press my button to whiff punish them. But in 6, there's so much time. This is really good advice for you guys. So much time to set yourself up for the throw to whiff. Just wait, see it whiff, and then get your punish counter, punish on the whiff throw. You should be doing that. You should never, in Street Fighter 6, you should never be walking back and doing a lazy shimmy where you just walk back, press a button in hopes that they've done a throw tech. You should definitely wait for it. The reason I say that is because if you do that, especially in the corner, try and shimmy them, common defensive habit in Street Fighter 6 is for them to jump out of the corner. So if you're walking back and pressing a really slow button to get your big punish counter shimmy and they jump, you're getting jumped in on for free, well, for them for free damage. So throw recovery being greater. I think it's probably a bit too much in Street Fighter 6, but I do think the additional recovery frames in 6 to throw. And generally, I mentioned about with punishing and mediums, it being increased. Increased recovery on everything. So I do think it's a welcome change to throws. Makes shimming more accessible. Again, it's a common theme. But I do think it's good because I couldn't believe how lightning fast it was in Street Fighter 5. And that is it for this video. I am pooped. This has taken 3 hours to record. I made so many mistakes, but I appreciate if you made it this far into the video. Right, I'm going to bed and I'll catch you next video. Take care.